your wellness stream. It looks like that's
We are live too. All right, guys.
Live.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna ask. I brought Chef Michelle here. She does some services that are relevant to our clients. For anybody that's looking to eat out there, looking to lose weight, and looking for assistance with meal prep, or looking for assistance with learning how to cook. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit here. So Michelle, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, and how you came to be a chef. Like, I doubt it was you're in kindergarten. I'm going to grow up someday. I'm going to be a chef. There's, I think, probably more to the story than that, right?
Well, it kind of did happen that way. I always knew that I wanted to be a chef, but I took a couple different career paths before I landed here.
Awesome.
I'll start at the top and kind of work back. I have a degree in culinary arts from Escoffier, which is one of the top culinary schools in the country. I knew that in order to sort of become a chef and be my true authentic self, I had to have some education that wasn't related to the other fields that I did before. I was a behavioral therapist. I worked with children on the autistic spectrum before I was a chef.
So cool.
So as an educator, that is the core foundation of sort of me as a person. So I really like to pull sort of that culinary piece and that teaching and therapeutic approach sort of together. So that's sort of who I am as a chef. I always loved to cook. I was always in the kitchen. I always wanted to work with fresh ingredients and spices and flavors, and I always wanted to know why things came together and how they came together sort of in a cohesive manner. And you would always find me in the kitchen. I was always pushing other people out and taking over.
Nice.
And it is just something that I always knew that it was truly who I am.
So in your case, it was kind of a lifelong passion.
It has always been a passion. I've just always been a chef.
So, all right, try and get me on the camera here somehow. All right, so here we are. So, how do you feel like your background helps you now in your current business? I mean, you can expand on that a little bit. Go ahead.
All right, so I guess I'm going to share the most personal piece. I was 378 pounds at my heaviest.
It's hard to imagine.
It's hard to imagine.
It's so hard to imagine.
I could barely walk. I had back problems. I had every metabolic thing wrong with my body. And it was one of those things that I realized that if I didn't take control of those key components of my health, I could never sort of recreate my future and understand that being a chef would probably not have been in my future. So I think part of my entire journey has been sort of towards sharing my story and teaching people that it is possible to have a love of food and have a relationship with food and make those sort of emotional connections. I was never like a junk food eater. I had other things going on, so I had to learn how to nourish my body and fuel my body in healthy ways, and I want to share that as part of my business model with other people, which is why I want to sort of get connected with your community so that I can do that in a really sort of beautiful way. So
yeah. So to piggyback on that, basically what you're saying is it's possible to love food, to have an affinity for food, and you have maintained dramatic weight loss for a very long time.
9 years now.
9 years.
I've been successful for 9 years. So what I really want to share with people is that food is approachable. Mm-hmm. It can be. Sometimes it can be hard, but it doesn't have to be. And it could be simple, and it could be really, really good for you. So I really want to help people find that. Not everyone is going to really like to follow recipes and chop their vegetables and sear their chicken. So this is where I come into play. I can help facilitate that with meal prep and with menu planning and even just supporting what that healthy diet looks like for the individual and how they can maintain that success.
Yes.
Sort of in a momentum sort of situation, because diets and fad things just kind of fall by the wayside. if you are learning to eat healthy and it is part of your daily routine, it's going to be for the rest of your life that way.
Yes.
Lifelong change.
Right, and it's hard and scary at the beginning. So if you need somebody to make it for you so you can start to visualize what those things look like, this is where I can help. If you need somebody to just sort of bring you the things that you need to do that, this is where I can help. And so as a chef,
shop.
right, and there are a lot of people that don't know that these services and these individuals like myself are available. So I'm just trying to sort of...
I certainly did not know, and I do this for a living, so thank you.
Yeah, and I think, what you're touching on here, I think people have this kind of like dichotomy in their mind, like, I love food, and so loving and enjoying food means cake, brownies, cupcakes, fast food, and, if I want to get healthy, I have to accept a life of drudgery. I have to accept a life of, bland food. I have to accept a life of food that I don't like, but I'll eat it because I want to, lose weight or, be successful and all that. And what you're saying here is it doesn't have to
There's
be
a
that
whole
trait.
section of the grocery store called herbs. And herbs are the key to making food flavorful, and people don't know how to use them in a way that doesn't, you're not adding butter, you're not adding, all these things, but you can use spices and things to really enhance what you are eating so that all your senses are sort of enhanced.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me the happiest, is showing people what cilantro does to a dish, what basil does.
In other words, what you're saying is you've learned, through your training and experience, to make food taste really good, to have a positive, experience with food, and to use things instead of, say, sugar, salt, and fat. Herbs, which actually have a lot of their own health properties, their own antioxidant properties, etc.
Right.
You learn to use those, combine those, to make food exciting, to make food very, very flavorful, and simultaneously serve your health goals.
Right, and I find for me too, when you are starting a wellness journey, you're always thinking about the things that you're going to miss. And when you just start incorporating all of those, healthier foods into your everyday diet, you really do start to forget about those other things, and you start to love the avocados and love the nuts and grains, and your body starts to crave those things, and then you can start to learn, oh, this recipe has these things in it, awesome, let's do that over spaghetti meatballs. And you start to really sort of just shift your thinking. But you can't get there just by knocking on a door and saying, hi, I'm here for the wellness program. You have to learn how to do that, and it's sort of like a multifaceted thing, and it does take time. And you're not, you will be successful, but in all areas. Your mind will feel better, your body will feel better, not just your weight loss. It's not just about that.
I'm just going to jump in and summarize how I feel about it. So the hardest part of our wellness program is not the making you lose 100 pounds, it's really teaching you lifestyle. By far, it takes the most of the time. Actually, that is why we have the cost structure of what it is, because it's a repetitive thing to learn. Now, fortunately, when you go to a lot of weight loss programs, they give you kind of like instructions to operate in a sandbox environment. You need to drink this shake, you need to drink this protein, so it's not a real life, and you can only do that for so long. Whatever you're doing, whether you're drinking certain types of shake or eating protein bars, it is just not real life. So we brought Chef Michelle here so she could teach us, including ourselves, how to eat real food, and it tastes good. And she has experience, not to mention her personal journey. That's amazing.
Right, so it's sort of a combination of both things. It didn't take me long to realize that if I had a personal chef at the beginning of my journey, what I could have learned or what I could have gained from that experience. I mean, I knew how to cook, so I did have an advantage. But if I had somebody at my disposal to ask questions, to understand portion control, sizes, understanding what things go together to
Yeah.
create the best possible plate of food.
Yeah.
These are all things that sometimes the clinicians don't either go over, or they don't always.
All the time, clinicians don't know. We just don't know.
Right,
Let's just
and
say what
so
it is.
right, and so there isn't always like a magic dictionary of this is what you have to do, but I want to be sort of able to sort of help facilitate that. So.
Yeah. So, so tell us a little bit. We talked about your background, and and you kind of talked a little bit about your services. Maybe talk a little bit more specifically now. What specific services do you offer to, and to whom?
Yeah.
And how, that kind of thing. So go ahead.
Okay, so I will start from the local level. If you live in the Lancaster, York, Harrisburg, Gettysburg, anywhere in like a reasonable geographic location, I can provide on-site chef services. So I could come into your home and I could open up your cupboards and I can utilize the things that you already have in your household to create these healthy meal plans that support where you are at in your wellness journey. Everyone is kind of at a different phase and a different stage, so I will work closely with the clinicians to sort of support that. I can help with meal prep, so like I will do already prepared meals in containers that have heating instructions, has like the what's in there, so like a menu, and do like a drop-off delivery service where things are already ready and prepackaged, similar to like one of those online meal services.
HelloFresh or something
Right,
like
but
that.
these are going to be very specific to your tastes, your aversions. Say you hated olives, and you can work with me on creating things that you are actually going to consume. A lot of people buy these prepackaged things and they hate stuff, so it goes in the garbage. What benefit do you have of spending all that money if you're going to throw it away?
Yeah.
So I'm going to customize your foods. I can also do cooking instruction if you are kind of a good cook, but don't get stuck in a rut and you're eating the same 3 things over and over again, because diets do get a little repetitive, and eating the same things, you kind of get stuck. I can help you get unstuck. I can come in and have some fresh eyes on what you're eating and maybe suggest some things and then work with you. I can also help with techniques.
Okay.
So what is the best way to create flavor with not using like frying things, or using a lot of fat? So I can help you find the right non-stick pan to cook foods in that is going to decrease the amounts of fats you're using and things like that. So.
Yeah. And I think one thing that you really bring to the table for our clients, like it's funny because the day before I met you, I had 2 clients standing in front of me, and they were current clients of ours, and they said, you need to have culinary classes to teach people how to cook,
Yeah.
because we don't know what spices to use, we don't know how to combine herbs, and so you need to do culinary classes.
Yeah.
And it's, in my case, I know how to prepare healthy, good-tasting food that serves my personal interests and needs.
Right.
I certainly have plenty of recipes that I share with clients. However, teaching clients how to prepare food that's going to suit them,
Yeah.
because everybody has such a wide range of, taste preferences and food preferences, that takes a level of knowledge that's a little bit more broad. Somebody like a chef like you, who's learned how to prepare a huge variety of foods,
Right.
using a huge variety of combinations, and you can tailor that to each individual's personal preferences.
Right.
Yeah.
And also to their level of ability too,
Yes,
because
yes.
not everybody can cook. So I am able to meet you where you are. And I think that is the value of having a private chef, is being able to chat about what you want to learn or where you want to be, and I'm here to sort of help you with that. So.
Yeah. Awesome.
And one of the other things that a private chef does is they bring all the things. They'll bring all the food. They will bring all the supplies. They will bring the containers. They will even clean up, so you don't even have to worry about the mess. So I think one of the advantages of having a private chef is that if you have a busy lifestyle, if you are, say, a nurse working long hours or odd shifts, having somebody to take care of all of those things that prevent you from being successful is a big barrier to most people. Oh, I don't have time to eat this food. I don't have time to make this thing. Well, I'm here to help with that.
Yeah, and I think another thing too is, that I've seen with some my clients is, time is definitely a factor for a lot of people. And, sometimes they're able to do some of their own food prep, and they're happy to do it, or okay doing it, at least they accept doing it, but, they might need some supplementation.
Yeah.
For example, hey, it's hard for me to create meals for every night of the week, and so I can create some, but then, I'm kind of towards the end of the week, I'm finding myself going out for fast food, or kind of I'm in the car with the kids,
Right.
and that's where, if they have foods that they can supplement, that is one way to say bring costs down to an extent, but, kind of fill in some of the gaps, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing is, I think you do remote.
I do,
Wow.
yeah. So that I forgot to sort of talk about that. I do have the capability of doing hosting like Zoom meetings with clients based on their schedule. I don't actually have like a regular scheduled Zoom class, but I'd be willing to do things remote. So if you and I would pick out a thing, an item, a food menu item, and we will cook it together. So I will watch you, I will guide you, and I will show you the tricks and the things that I do to make the meal, and we can do it sort of parallel.
Right.
It wouldn't just be I'm demoing a skill. I want to be in your kitchen with you doing it so that you can learn.
So that remote option I think is fantastic for people that live further away, because we have clients that, we're multi-state practice. We got people in New York, Florida, Louisiana, that kind of thing. And so, having the option of utilizing your services for a cook-along virtual class to show them how to pair spices and
I want to sort of, I would like to do those classes from my personal kitchen, not my professional kitchen, because it makes people realize that they don't need this big like restaurant space to do these things. They can do it in their own home with the things that they have.
Yes, and learning how to cook and prepare foods, I read in multiple sources, they consider that one of the best life skills you can ever learn for your health. Learning how to make delicious, healthy food. Not just healthy food, but delicious,
Because
healthy food.
you're gonna want to eat it
Exactly.
long term.
Yes, yes, you won't miss it. And
You
it's,
have to taste it.
yeah, you won't miss the other stuff. And, a lot of us have experienced that. I eat very, very plant-based, I'm not quite 100%, but close. And, in my experience,
99.9.
Oh, I know.
yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just, it gets challenging sometimes too, because you kind of struggle. You get into a loop where you don't know what to make.
Well, I would say initially when you start out, but in my experience, I now have such a wide variety of dishes that I'm accustomed to eating. That going back to what you said, when you know how to make healthy food and make it taste good, you don't miss the other stuff. And I don't miss the other stuff, and it's not saying I don't miss the other stuff. I legitimately don't. I'm satisfied by my food, my breakfast, my lunch, my supper, my snacks. They all taste good to me.
I want people to not be intimidated by turnips and fennel and broccoli rabe and things, even like certain fishes that people don't recognize. It's not just salmon and tilapia.
Right.
There are lots of other things out there that you can eat that are just as lovely.
Other things that has less lead.
Right? And so I also would love to do like live grocery store trips.
Nice.
Where I'm showing people that the best place to eat is the perimeter of the grocery store. Don't even walk down the middle because there's nothing good in there. It's anything fresh and anything good for you is on the perimeter of the grocery store. And I want to show people along the way that you can do that and be successful in your journey.
And just a quick to add here, guys. Guys, every time we ask you why don't you implement those lifestyle changes, whether it's activity or cooking healthy. Actually, cooking healthier is harder than activity. A lot of people do end up implementing classes in Orange Theory or something like that. when we talk about food, you guys have always been incredibly honest. You say, I don't have time. Even if I do have time, I don't have the motivation because I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So Chef Michelle is an excellent addition to do that and teach you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So, you kind of answered some of the other questions I had prepared for you. But, you know, I did want to ask you, how do you personally make time for yourself to cook and eat healthy?
Okay, so I have a very busy family environment. I have a son and I have 3 bonus children in my household.
Okay.
So planning is the key to success in my household, and I suggest that planning is definitely a big portion of how you could be successful, just making food in general. So I am always thinking about it. I'm always thinking about what the next thing to make is and how to make my life simpler by maybe chopping things up and putting them in the fridge ahead of time so that when I do come home late, I can just grab things and put it together. And I also, I think I like things to be fast and simple in my personal life. I can make all kinds of elaborate foods that take hours to make, but in my personal life, it's 30 minutes or less.
Yeah.
And I think that is the value in having a chef, is that it doesn't have to be complicated. It just needs to come together and it needs to nourish my body. So I'm really about quick, easy solutions to get food on the table.
And you know what's awesome about that is that underscores, you know, a major challenge for a lot of our clients are kind of like, you know, I'd say 30s, 40s is very, very common. Some 20s, you know, some that are in like 50s, 60s, that kind of thing. But most of them are kind of in that 30, 40 demographic. Right. And so they got kids, they got careers, they got, you know, football and soccer and all kinds of stuff that the kids are involved in. And what you just said there is, hey, not only can you make healthy food taste good, all right, so people are kind of, you know, buying that.
Kid-friendly food. I have learned to satisfy all the kids' palates with eating well.
Yeah, and you just underscored, it doesn't have to take a long time. It's just some knowledge of pairings,
Right.
and people don't just have that knowledge. You know, like that's something that's learned, and so that's
Right.
what you bring to the table. I think that's awesome.
And I think helping families realize that if they are on a weight loss journey, wellness journey, whatever it is, they don't have to only make one portion of that healthy thing and make 10 portions of the bad thing.
Yeah.
You can have a balance. You can provide your family with some of the things that they really want to see on a plate and still support your healthy eating habits. And
Yeah.
I want to be able to help people realize that they can
That's
do
awesome. And since you mentioned that, you know, if we're looking at even, say, childhood overweight and obesity here in America, I mean,
Yeah.
it's risen dramatically since the 1970s.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when we're looking at, you know, a mom's healthy journey or dad's healthy journey, you know, our clients, you know, positively influencing what their children eat. You know, it's like Doc was just saying the other day, you know, we used to call it, even when I was in nursing school in early 2000s, you know, we called it adult onset diabetes.
Yeah.
And that changed. That changed now to just type 2 diabetes because
Right.
kids have it. Kids have hypertension. It's unbelievable to me, but kids actually have hypertension now.
Right.
So, you know, just in the past even 20 years, you know, the shift in the health of the kids has really changed for the worse. And so what you're saying there is like, hey, not only can mom's health journey and dad's health journey be their journey and be successful, but they can positively influence their kids.
Right. I do love working with the children as well. So offering cooking classes to the kids to help them get excited that they're learning about maybe eating a red pepper for the first time because they've only really consumed French fries and chicken nuggets. And
That's my daughter.
if you win the kids over, they will then support the parents in their
excellent.
journeys. So that's a big part of what I want to do too. I want to be sort of an intricate part of a family environment to help people be successful. So it does start with the kids as well. So getting them in the kitchen to help, getting them learning about certain foods and getting, you know, sort of it starts there. So
Awesome.
I can do kids classes too.
That
Love
makes
it.
perfect sense because in my opinion, I always thought that like you have to get the mom first and then mom will kind of, it will trickle down on I think if you get the kids, it's even more important because kids gonna wanna eat, and then they're
Right.
gonna ask
And
for
the
those.
biggest-
Reinforces it.
And the biggest thing is that, the reason why people don't stick to it is because they are exposed to the things that they shouldn't be eating.
Right.
And most of the time, it starts with providing your children with something different than you're eating.
I see.
And I want to change that. I want to
Nice.
create the most delicious things on the plate that it won't matter that they're missing the chicken
I love
nuggets.
it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's talk about another thing. How can people manage cost when eating healthy? There is definitely a perception out there that eating healthy is extraordinarily expensive, and so I might as well just stick to the middle of the grocery store where everything is pre-packaged and cheap, and whatever with the consequences.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
a myth that eating prepackaged food costs less. I mean, ultimately, the costs right now with the economy are very challenging. So I'm very conscious of that. So I learned how to sort of maximize, again, flavor and volume over multiple meals. So if you're buying a head of broccoli and say I'm doing a stuffed chicken breast with broccoli inside it, we can use half of that for like a vegetable stir fry the next day. So cross utilization is a great way to save money, and I truly believe that's possible to do that. So you're not just looking at the one meal that's right in front of you. You're looking at multiple meals throughout the day, or throughout the week. And I also feel like you can buy in bulk. You can buy larger quantities of things, which bring the cost down. So you're buying 18 eggs instead of 12 eggs, and that is the way to cut costs. But at the end of the day, you are investing in yourself.
Yeah.
And you will, over time, recoup that investment because you will start to feel better. So even though you're looking at those avocados and they're saying $4.99, but this box of mac and cheese says 99 cents, you will start to see that there is value in spending a little more money to learn how to utilize things that are healthier for you.
Yeah.
The biggest mistake that a lot of people make is that when they're starting a wellness journey, they buy all the things. They buy every banana and every red pepper and every broccoli, and it sits in your vegetable drawer and it rots, and then you're throwing money away. So let's not do that anymore. So that's the way to cut costs. I teach you how to use the things you buy and buy more frequently.
We have actually had clients talk to us about that.
Yeah.
So
that's how you do that.
So another thing to piggyback on what you said there, one of the things that surprised me, and costs are something that we're not going to get specific on because it's different for each client depending on what foods they're cooking. Is the class virtual? Is it not virtual? How long are we talking about? How many sessions? All that stuff. There's a lot of individual factors that need to be taken up with the client, who's interested in your services.
Yeah.
What I will say is when you shared with me kind of what commonly you end up charging, kind of like some, based on some averages, this is kind of what it costs. I was actually pleasantly surprised, very pleasantly surprised by what you mentioned in terms of what you charge for your services. And so when you're talking about strategies to save money, when you're making healthy food, to avoid throwing stuff away, for what you charge and what you're potentially able to save clients, I think it's probably comes out in some cases about even, I would imagine.
It does. I mean, if you are going to hire a personal trainer to help you gain some success in exercise, you are going to invest in yourself. You're going to spend extra money in order to get better at a thing. If you wanted to be better at painting or drawing, you're going to sign up for a class, which costs a fee. Service-based help is always going to be at a cost, but you are always doing those things with some type of personal investment.
Yeah.
And I'm a mom, and I do understand that right now the economy is crazy and things do cost more. So naturally, I am very sensitive to that, and I will always work with my clients. I always ask about their budgets, what they are comfortable spending, you know, what they can afford, if this was something that I could provide to them. And like any service, we are always willing to sort of work with our clients to help them be successful, and have the finances not be a complete barrier to their treatment or to their journey.
Yeah, and you know, when we talk about cost, you know, the other thing is, I think there's sometimes, you know, an analysis of a face value of cost, right? And you know, forgetting that there's a cost to not eating healthy. There's a cost to not, you know, taking care of if you're obese or overweight, to not addressing that.
Right.
You know, and those costs can be now, and they can be both financial, and they can also be emotional.
Yeah.
They can also be, you know, physical in terms of how you feel, you know, how your body feels. And so there's complications of a life that's not well.
I'm not on thyroid medicine. I'm not on metformin. I'm not on any of those things that I had to pay money for. And so now I'm buying things that fuel my body.
So wellness has a cost.
Thanks.
Wellness has a cost, but so does sickness. You know, sickness has a cost.
Yeah.
And research.
And I think I'm a service that could be faded over time. Once I transfer skills, that is part of my core business model, is to teach people how to do this so they can do it for themselves. So I'm not going to be just your hired private chef that, you know, shows up in your kitchen every day because you are living the laps of luxury.
Right.
I am there to teach you how to do something so that you can do it for yourself.
Yes, and that mirrors our mission as well. Our goal is to teach people the lifestyle skills. You know, we can you know, get weight down pretty quickly. We're very, very good at that. But the other thing that we do, lots of doctors can do that. The other thing that we do that makes us, you know, different is our strong emphasis on research-backed lifestyle interventions that can help you maintain that long term.
Right.
You know, and so we share a passion there in not just helping clients meet a short-term, immediate goal, but a passion for life change.
It is built into the program, so I'm going to jump in. A lot of patients of ours ask, well, Dr. Muziek, if I had to choose one thing I could fix in my life, whether it's eating right or working out all the time, and they ask which one would be better for my weight loss or weight maintenance, getting the food part right is 80%. Yeah. Exercise will only do 10 to 15% under the best circumstances, and God knows most of the people do not function under the best circumstances. Working out 2-3 times a week, it will make you happier, it will make you stronger, but if you get the food part right, I mean, that is the holy grail, okay? Yeah. Then you can sustain your weight loss journey and you can live healthier longer. There's no doubt it's 80 to 20 ratio. So a lot of people don't have any problem spending money on personal trainers, buying like Peloton and stuff. Yeah. You really need to get this down, guys. So this is super important. It's coming from somebody who does this every day for a living. Just listen to this. It's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So how can people find you and contact you?
Okay, so I am on all the social media platforms. You can find me on Facebook at chefmichelleandrews.com. I'm sure you'll put up my contact links or communicate somehow. You can find me via email. I have a website, my name, so I'm really easy to find. I am listed in the directory now as one of your providers, so you could always, you know, through this office you can find me. I also get a lot of clients through Yelp and through Google. So if you're looking for a personal chef, you type in personal chef in the area and most likely you will land on me. So I'm pretty easy to find.
Yeah. And we will tag some of the information on when we share this video. So.
Yeah. And just to give you know, justice to some of your other services, so we talked at the bulk of our conversation focused on exactly what it needed to focus on, how to service clients who are interested in losing weight and maintaining their weight loss, and how you can help them with those strategies. That's precisely what we want to focus on.
Yeah.
When we talk about your business real quick, since we're saying, well, how can they find you? What else do you offer? Some of the things that you do that maybe is not related to our current business. Some of the things that you do is, I know you do events, like you do
Yes.
special events, that kind
Sure,
of thing.
thank
So,
you. Yeah. So as a personal chef, I do all kinds of things. If you wanted like a private dinner party for your 6 closest friends, I can do that. If you wanted a fun like wine and paint night with your girls and you wanted appetizers, I do that. I've done smaller, what I call larger parties, like little, small weddings and things like that. I have been the chef at larger events, catering chef, things like that, where they're doing galas down in Baltimore and whatnot. But to hire my services, I like to keep my parties at around 50 people or less because I am just me, so I can't do big parties. But
Awesome. So, is there anything I should have asked you that I have not?
no, I think we have really covered everything. I have such a passion for food and reaching people. Food is my love language. Food is something like I live and breathe that, and I just want to share that with everybody. So I'm really excited to sort of partner and hopefully help your clients like I sort of helped myself on this journey. So
That's so cool. So this is definitely a fun interview.
It is.
I'm very
Probably
thankful
the
you
most
came out.
fun we had so far.
thank you.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
helping you guys. So thank you.
Yeah, very good.
We'll
Well
have
done.
your name on Facebook when we share. Okay?
Thank you,
All right, sounds
everybody.
good.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Tuning
you,
in.
everybody.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Chef.
Thank you.